So you want to learn how to build a full high converting email marketing system. Don't worry, I got you. In this video, I'm going to build an entire email marketing system from the ground up, literally from zero, the exact same way we do it at my agency for brands doing 6 and 7 figures. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to build for a high converting, retention driven email system for virtually any brand. So let's get to it. We're going to be turning your brand's email marketing system from a mess into a revenue machine. I'll walk you through the exact framework I use at my agency to build sophisticated yet effective email systems for 6 and 7 figure e-commerce brands. So who am I and why should you trust me? Well, my name's Diego and I'm the founder of MailJace, an email and SMS marketing agency that's dedicated to evolving email marketing for 6 and 7 figure e-commerce brands. And it's all done by building effective automated systems and monthly campaign calendars that drive significant and consistent revenue and foster deep customer loyalty, which is a key element in customer retention for your e-commerce brand. And well, with years of hands-on experience and a data-driven approach, my team and I have consistently delivered measurable results, helping our clients turn their email list into powerful profit centers. So here's a glimpse of the impact we've made. This brand's email marketing was on a downwards trend, and in just 60 days, we broke their monthly email marketing revenue record. In 60 days. And as you can see, well, the pop-up more than doubled in revenue and submit rate. And well, now moving on to the actual content of the video, now that you trust me, here's what we're gonna start with, the pop-up. So it sounds dumb, but your pop-up is literally where you decide your ad profits. So building your pop-up is very simple, but it's actually one of the things that gives you the most leverage down the line. For your form type, I highly recommend using the Klaviyo pop-up builder because it's great, it's seamless, and it integrates directly into your website. For your offer, I would choose between X% off or X dollar amount off. If your average order value is below $100, I would recommend using the percent off because it's perceived as bigger. But if your AOV is over $100, I would use a dollar amount because it's also perceived as bigger. I hope you understand that. I wouldn't recommend at all using free shipping because it's too common and a lot of stores use it, and you're just gonna literally just shut them off, and they're not gonna want to, submit the pop-up. It is very important that you divide your pop-up by mobile and desktop because the data is different, the conversion is different, even the optimization for the sizing and everything is different. So you want to have both of those separate. For the timing, it's very general, it's very restricted. I would use between 5 to 7 second delay or a 40% scroll trigger. More or less than that, and well, you're gonna see your conversion rate fall off. As for the industry best practices right now, you wanna have a couple of phases. First phase is a peak, which is a small window that appears on the corner of one part of the screen, right? Then you're gonna have a micro commit. You're gonna tell them this is a mystery offer and that to claim it, they must answer a question regarding their intentions to buy. Now this creates like a little micro commitment in their head that increases submit rate and segmentation information simultaneously. After this, inside Klaviyo, you can actually build the segments by what they answered in the pop-up. So this is also a great way to get important information. After this, you're gonna want your offer plus email opt-in. Now, in mobile, typically you wanna have only two fields to fill. So that would be your first name and your email. And this is where you give them the offer and ask for these fields. You can't ask for more than two elements because people are gonna think they're giving out too much information and they're gonna fall off in the submit. So the next step, and technically the last step, is your SMS opt-in. Now you wanna use wording like they're almost done or like all they need to activate their code is their SMS or something similar to that because if not, they think that you're gonna keep asking for information after this and your submit rate is gonna fall off. And actually, most people think that the majority of the submit rate falls off after you ask for the SMS, when in reality it's from the micro commit to your offer slash email opt-in. So you want to maintain that almost done wording when you're asking for SMS. Just keep that in mind, right? After this, it's your success step, which is like basically, oh, congratulations, check your email or check your SMS if you're gonna do it differently. And then a button. It's very important that you include a button that says back to site to redirect them back to the website and not, you don't want to deviate their attention. Something that you need to keep in mind always, the key difference between an average and exceptional pop-up is repeat testing and optimization. This is literally the key. I've seen pop-ups convert well in one store and do horrible in another because industry best practices are not like the silver bullet that works on everything. So audience matters and keep that in mind always. This pop-up that you see on the right is by Finn, a big name pet brand. And what I do when I have to create a pop-up for a client that I haven't worked in their niche before, I basically model it around big stores in their niche and optimize and correct it over time. And this is actually what brings me to the pro tip, which is to look at pop-ups for similar brands in your niche, recreate it with your branding and your offer to have a good starting point, and then optimize over time. Now we're going to start discussing your automation frameworks, which is your 24/7 sales machines. Usually I want to aim for like 40 to 50% or even 60% revenue attribution to the automations of all the email marketing revenue because automations are very important and very key to maintain a consistent and dependable revenue month after month. So starting with number one, your most important automation is your welcome flow. The trigger for this is when a person joins your list via your pop-up. The structure for this, you can start with this. I would recommend starting with 4 to 6 emails and can be personalized on the quiz response that I mentioned before, right? And then a key insight for this is that you want to make sure this first email generates around 80 to 60% of your flow revenue because most of the people buy from that first email. If you're having to stretch your revenue back to the one of the last emails, where you're doing something wrong with your first email. People just go to the first email, collect the discount, and then go to the checkout directly and buy right there. These two automations are virtually identical with the exception of the triggers and a few wording changes when you're mentioning, oh, you abandoned your cart or you abandoned your checkout. Other than that, they're the exact same automation. A trigger for the abandoned cart is well adds to cart and doesn't check out or purchase. And well for the checkout abandoned starts checkout but doesn't purchase. Something people don't know is that abandoned cart in Klaviyo is actually an abandoned checkout and Klaviyo doesn't build you an abandoned cart flow. So you need to create it manually and most of the brands don't know this and they're losing out on half their abandoned cart revenue just because Klaviyo doesn't let them know. The structure for this is going to be the same, 2 to 4 emails, including dynamic product images, value propositions, and risk reversals. I would start the flow 30 minutes to 1 hour after the person abandoned their cart or their checkout. Moving on to your next automation is your browse abandoned. The trigger for this one is when someone views a product page but doesn't purchase the item that they viewed. So the structure would be a maximum of 2 to 3 emails with dynamic blocks showing the browse products, right? And a very important insight for this is that you want to view this not as a conversion focused flow. And what you want to do is redirect them into the abandoned cart or the checkout abandoned flows where you can convert better and have more direct language. The next flow is going to be your post purchase flow. As for this one, I recommend having 2 branches after the flow trigger, which would be the first time customers and the repeat customers. You would have dynamically different product recommendations, etc., but it would be essentially the same flow. So the most important email in the post-purchase flow is the first email because a person is most likely to buy it when they just bought. And in this first email, you usually want to include wording around you can still add items to your cart, to your checkout, to your order for when we send it out. And then this person, since they just bought, they have the card in their hand, they're most likely gonna buy again. It's actually usually the best performing flow in terms of revenue per recipient. And their last automation for our core automations is the review slash UGC flow. It's best sent out 10 days after the delivery of their product. So if your Shopify doesn't have a way to track when their product was delivered, I recommend having your average time of the arrival time for a product after they purchase, and then just add the days to complete the 10. So if usually orders take around 5 days to arrive, have it be 10 days after they have placed an order. So the strategy for this is very simple. It's a small incentive for reviews that become social proof in future emails, and you can include in future emails. The more verbal a person is, the better. If they provide pictures, it's even better. And a key insight from this is that you collect valuable positive and negative feedback because it's going to be when they're using the product the most, which is when it just arrived. Moving on to the second important part of your email marketing system is your campaign calendar, which basically what it means is the campaigns you send out on a weekly and monthly basis. I like to refer to the campaign calendar as your trust catalyst because although automations are very personalized, they're dynamic, and they're constantly running in the background. Your campaign calendar is how you provide content to your audience that they actually resonate with and that they like to open and they like to read and they like to look at. So the planning structure for our calendars at Mailjace is that we usually like to plan 1 to 3 months ahead so that we have plenty of time to develop strategies, to design, to go over revisions, etc., so that everyone's happy with the calendar, including our team and the clients. If you didn't know, we actually provide our clients with an infinite number of revisions because we don't want to send content that the clients are not 100% on board with. You want to include 10 to 15 emails per month. I know it sounds like a lot, but trust me, if you're not sending more than 10 emails a month, you're literally missing out on revenue. There's no other way to look at it. You're not tiring your list, you're not frustrating them, you're not being too aggressive. You're literally just not sending enough emails. Most brands don't actually do this, but you need to have one theme, one goal, or one product monthly. If you're just sending out random campaigns that have no connection between them, it's gonna feel like you're being constantly bombarded with marketing and advertising, whereas a planned schedule and a planned content calendar feels more like branding and like you want to trust the brand. What I want you to remember from this is that the calendar is the lever, but the strategy is the grip. If the strategy is weak, the calendar, there's nothing you can do about it. Before moving on, how I divide it, this is a pro tip for when you're building your content calendar. So use websites and AI for ideation and to build like the whole structure of the calendar, and then you can move on to developing the specific campaigns, right? So I use Mill.com for strategy and campaign ideas. I use really good emails for design and email structure, and Mailjet.com for the marketing calendar, like key dates and holidays per month. So keeping in mind that we have 10 to 15 campaigns per month, I usually like to divide the campaigns by three types of email campaigns, right? So we have the promotions, which is the sale. I don't like to have more than one or two sales per month because then people just wait for the next sale to buy, and you don't want to train your audience to buy only when there's a discount or a sale. Then we have the brand building emails, which I usually like to include 20 to 30%. Keep it minimal, but do include them so people don't feel like they're being sold to literally every single email. And it's just basically no pitch, it's straight to storytelling, like behind the scenes, mission and values, founder stories, and tips and tricks in your niche. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't include a CTA, but don't measure the email success or don't focus the email on selling. And so finally, you have your product campaigns, which account for 60 to 70% of your content calendar, the vast majority. But always keep in mind that they can't work out perfectly if it's not for your brand building and your promotions emails. For product campaigns, think of cool, entertaining, and creative ways to sell your product. I've actually shared a lot of product campaign ideas on my Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram page, MelJaceDiego, you can find a lot of ideas to fill up your content calendar. And moving on to the last part of your full email marketing system is segmentation and suppression. You don't want to overcomplicate yourself with too much information on too many segments and having very specific and niche segments, but at the end of the day, if you're spending too much time on that and not sending out enough campaigns, at the long run, you're just not going to make that much money. So you want to create very basic engaged segments. Building segments for users engaged within the last 30, 60, and 100 days. If your 100-day engaged segment doesn't have an open rate above 65 or 60%, then you just want to move on to your 60-day engaged segment. And if that one doesn't have an open rate over 60 to 75%, then you want to move on to your 30-day engaged segment. So you can use your quizzes pop-up data for segmenting, like I mentioned before, and you can use this data for targeting further into campaigns or flows as this person moves deeper into your funnel. And for the last element is your suppression. You want to suppress unengaged subscribers for two main reasons. Number one, you don't want to tank your deliverability by sending to inactive contacts. And number two, you want to lower your Klaviyo bill. I know it sounds counterintuitive to reach to less people, but in the long run, you just risk falling into the spam folder if you're sending to people that aren't opening or clicking your emails. And there you have it, your complete email marketing system blueprint. So we've covered the three pillars of a high converting email system. Your strategic pop-ups that segment from day zero, your 6 essential automation flows driving 24/7 revenue, and a balanced campaign calendar with 3 content types. As a bonus, I have a gift for you, and I want to include a free email revenue calculator. So most brands really have no idea how much they could be making with email marketing. And I created a free email revenue calculator spreadsheet in which you input your brand's general metrics and it literally shows you and tells you how much money and subscribers you're missing out on. And don't worry, you'll be downloading a copy so nobody has access to your information, not even me. So if you found this helpful and if you want more breakdowns like this on strategy, automations, and design that actually converts, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and leave a comment with your biggest takeaway. I read every single one, I promise. So thanks for watching, and remember, your email list isn't just data, it's your most valuable asset. Use it right.